Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Gary Sangon, and this is the second part of the video, What is software? In part one of this video, we gave some of the definitions of software and software program. We explained the difference between a computer engineer and a software engineer. We also showed you a simple software architecture made of computers, including a desktop computer, a mobile device, and a server. We finally looked at some of the areas that software engineers might deal with on a daily basis, as well as those areas that are not necessarily for software engineers, but that are still related to software. In part two of this video, we're going to talk about some of the programming languages and tools that are used in the software industry. We're also going to talk about the software development lifecycle. If you watch this video entirely, there's going to be a surprise for you at the end of the video. Programming languages and tools. Let's start with front-end development. Front-end is the part of software that users can see and interact with. If you remember, in the previous video, I said that you don't necessarily need to know algorithms to get into software. You can get started building web pages just by knowing HTML and CSS. So HTML is a markup language that allows you to display your content in a web browser, and CSS allows you to style your content. For example, you might want your title to be in green and your paragraph to be in a different color. So once you're familiar with HTML and CSS, you can get started with JavaScript, which is a programming language primarily used for front-end development. And JavaScript will allow you to add functions, business logic, animations to your website. You can also use libraries such as jQuery and Bootstrap that will speed up the development of your website by providing you with utilities that will allow you to build things quickly. There are also huge libraries and frameworks like React.js, Angular, Vue that allow you to speed up the development of your web application. And these huge libraries and frameworks come with a lot of components out of the box, or they allow you to install libraries that you need quickly. These libraries and frameworks also come with a learning curve, but once you start, you familiarize yourself with them, it will make your life a lot easier. So going into backend development, you have Java that's primarily used for enterprise applications. PHP that's used a lot, especially in like WordPress development and templates. You have backend languages just such as C++, C Sharp, Ruby, and there are a lot more backend languages. I'm going to have another video in the future explaining under which circumstance you will use a specific programming language. And you can see we also have JavaScript as a backend language. We started using it as a backend language recently when Node.js came around. For mobile development, you might use Java or Kotlin if you're doing Android development. You might use Objective-C or Swift if you're doing iOS development. For Windows development, you might use C Sharp, even though you might be able to use C Sharp on different platforms. You also note that there's JavaScript that can be used for front-end development, back-end development, and mobile development. On the database side, you have SQL or SQL, which is the structured query language which is a way of structuring your data and organizing it into tables. For example, you might have a person table with a first name column, last name column, and a date of birth column. For NoSQL databases, you typically store your data as key value pairs or documents. And in this case, the data is not very structured. So if you already have a person object that's stored in your NoSQL database, you might store another person with additional attributes that the previous person or the previous people in the database did not have. Now let's talk about the software development lifecycle, also known as SDLC. So the software development lifecycle is a set of standard business practices for developing software. The SDLC is broken down into phases that I'm going to explain. So let's start with the planning phase. Here you come up with an idea and you start to seeing how it can help improve your processes, improve your business, or make you more money. And once you set on that idea, you can start writing requirements of what your software or your application will do. So these requirements can be as easy as the application shall allow users to register, or the application shall be available every weekdays from Monday to Friday. And after you've written all the requirements, you move on to the design phase where you start writing documents about how your software is going to work. Once you're done with the design, you might have to write a technical design document which explains at the lowest level possible how the software or your application is going to be implemented. So after implementation, we have testing where we do verification and validation of your application. So here we make sure that the software is doing what it was supposed to do, and we also make sure that it's doing everything correctly. And once we're done testing, everything is good, there's a deployment phase where we put the software program on a server, and that's when it becomes available to the entire world. So this is for applications that are public, or the application might be internal to your organization and only accessible by the members of the organization. And then after the deployment, we get into the maintenance phase where we just maintain the software pretty much. As we can see, a software engineer is not limited to the software implementation. Software engineers can work on all the phases of the software development life cycle. A software engineer can work directly with users and stakeholders, and they typically have a deeper understanding of a system in terms of optimization, security, and scaling. So this is the end of this video. As promised, if you've watched part 1 and part 2 of this video, you are now a software pro. So thanks for watching this video. And if you like this type of content, please subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Thank you.